Good evening everyone, welcome along to Apex Online Racing. This is round 3 of season 17 and we are at an incredibly soggy looking Monza, it has to be said. We'll do our best to jump on board with the first car that is out there on circuit as soon as the number becomes visible. Car number 1 of Aidan Walsingham. He is not only our championship leader, but he is also the first car out onto the incredibly wet Monza this evening. Well, wet qualifying. We'll have to see what the race is actually going to be like. It might dry up a little bit. So just while everyone is on the outlap, getting some tyres up to temperature, let's have a quick run through the championship as it stands for the moment. Right, so at the moment, leading the championship with 200 points is Aidan Walsingham. He has come pole position in both of the first races. Then in second place with 153, with a second and a fifth is Giardier. Then, of course, in third is Naldi. Fourth is Michael Thomas and Josh Waring in fifth place. Some big names out there. Just trying to see now. Yeah, Michael Thomas obviously came second in the last round as well. So plenty of room for movers and shakers, but we are about to start our first flying lap and in as best as we can. Let's try and jump on the dashboard of this lovely car. There we go. Right, we are on the dash. It might be a little bit noisy, but we'll have to put up with it. But here we go. This is the first flying lap of the race. We'll have to see how it goes. Absolutely flat out down the pitch straight, down towards the chicane, hard on the brakes. You see the car squirreling slightly into the first right-hander, followed by a left-hander, avoiding the giant sausage curves before getting on the throttle. Absolutely flat here through the long right-hander. Heading down towards the second chicane again, waits, when is he going to brake? Pretty much at the 100 board, gets hard on the brakes, swings it in, left hand, oh, and there we go, immediately there is a mistake. So this, although it might be the first outlap, is not going to be an actually valid one, but we'll stick with him for the moment. Lesmo 1, heads down towards Lesmo 2, and swings it in, rolling on the throttle. Light left-hander here, but this is the main one, the Ascari. This is where it's probably going to claim a lot of victories this evening. Normally you run a lot of curb here, but obviously being wet conditions is going to make it very difficult to run any. Throws it into the left, long right, rolling on the throttle. You can see the car squirreling around. He goes way out wide, a little bit of a clip of the gravel. So this is certainly not going to be one of the fastest laps out there by any means. In fact, he's abandoning the lap already. Right, we're jumping on board with someone who is setting up a bit of a flyer, though. Christian Ranieri. Car number 7. So this actually will be our first valid lap, I'm pretty sure. So we're getting a bit of an idea of what the drivers are going to be able to do here in the wet. He thunders towards the line. So the first one, the times are already piling in around them. So the moment, Kumpo with the 153.1. Jump over to Kumpo now. This is the Honda. Oh, there we go. Remy Papin just got himself up into first place. The first driver into the 52s. Giardier as well has now got himself into the 52s. We're going to stay with Kumpo for a little bit. day. In practice, it was Walsingham, Jardier and Papin that were dominating the front rows. So we'll be interested to see who can do some pretty good stuff here. We see the chat is opening up a fair old bit now. Lots of love for the Sector Blitz Racing guys. Just seeing a moment there as well, saying watch out for Craig Law this evening. Apparently very quick in the practice race last night, and to be fair, Craig Law is currently 8th on the grid and still improving. Kumpo has actually sort of levelled off on his lap for now. Going to be interesting to see where Walsingham ends up. Let's jump aboard with Jardier for just a minute though. One of the Hondas, obviously going very nicely here at Monza this evening. Flies his way through the Ascari. Whoa, very wide on the exit there. I'm not sure if that's going to invalidate it, and in fact he's lost a lot of time. There we go, Aidan Walsingham, after his first actual flying lap, puts in a 152.032. Are we going to see anyone in these wet conditions manage to get down into the 151s? The track is certainly not going to be getting much drier with the rain still falling, but cars may be able to get a bit more temperature into those tyres. Remy Papin now puts himself into second place. No improvement there for Jardier. Right, is anyone down a little bit further on an improvement? Matt York is on an improvement, or was until the exact moment that I clicked on him. Sorry, Yorkie. We're still very, very early on in the lap, still only just heading up towards the second chicane. Lots of cars moving around just behind, trying to find a little bit of space on the road. So far, Matt York has not been able to improve any further. Someone on a big, big improvement though. This is Nico Kumpo. I'm going to have to jump across because this is a mega lap at the moment. But it was saying he was half a second up on his lap, and he is half a second up on his lap. This is a big, big improvement for him. This should see him absolutely thunder up the order. It should put him inside the top 10 with any luck. 0.6 up on his laps is still big improvements, but drivers in front also making improvements. Drivers moving out of the way, sticking with Kumpo, coming through the Parabolica now. Trying to find the absolute perfect line, trying to roll the power on without losing too much traction, going out wide, but also not wanting to give up an inch of acceleration if he can do. Gets himself up into 5th place. Big, big improvement. He'll be very pleased with that. Jardier, another driver who is on an improvement and actually coming around the final corner. This should be enough to take away pole position if he can hold it all the way to the line. So this should be Jardier on pole. This was an invalid lap. Oh, it was. It was a valid lap, but it somehow still wasn't quite enough to take it away. I thought he was going to be close enough, but obviously lost a little bit of time exiting the Parabolica there. Right, jumping across to Sadre. I do love this Bentley. The Honkers Bentley. Running in 9th place at the moment, but is improving. Only by 0.1, but it is still an improvement. I think lots of drivers maybe struggling in these conditions. It's definitely shaken it up a little bit. Gouliot has put himself up into 3rd place at the moment. Still no one has broken into the 151s. Our drivers back on outlaps again now. The sort of top 10 pretty much all doing outlaps. Let's stick with Sandro for just a little bit longer. He is still improving. There we go, another driver we were talking about just a minute ago in the chat there, Craig Law, car number 226, is, or was, just about improving. Is slightly dropped off the pace. Sandre has not though. Sandre continuing on like a BMW in the background doing some slightly weird squiggles. And that's 747 who has now returned to the pit, so I wonder if that's maybe a connection issue. Oh, I think that might have been Kaz Lucas. I think Kaz Lucas might be having some sort of connection issue, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. But Sadre comes across the line, gains one position, up into 9th place. Melvin Crows, another one of the Sector Blitz racing drivers. Car number 233. And that lovely AMG Mercedes. Big improvements for this driver. 0.2 up on their lap at the moment. Only one corner left to go. Be interesting to see if it is a wet race, how the Mercedes does. A car plagued with understeer in the wet. So be interesting to see how he gets on and whether or not he can keep that tail happy end under control. But it's a final run to the line, looks fairly clean and tidy, moves all the way across the right hand side to get an improvement, and he does. 5 places gained up into 12th place. Let's have a little look. Walter Billin, here we go for XRS Racing. Yeah, seeing someone in the chat saying I'm faster than them in the drive. I don't think I'm faster than them even in the drive, to be honest. Right, here we go. Walter Billin, still on an improvement at the moment. Finds himself through the second chicane, heading towards Lesmo 1, then 2. Throws it in. Just about keeping it together. Very brave, running it right out onto the painted stuff, though. The car looks fairly settled as well, doesn't appear to be squirreling around, so whether or not that is a case of using an absolutely monstrous amount of TC, I'm not entirely sure. Just a very, very good setup, but that car does look fairly settled as it comes along, but he has actually now lost a fair bit of time. Maybe that's why it looks so settled, because he's not pushing as hard as he was earlier in the lap. And in fact, he is way down on his time. Having a look around now for people that are improving. Naldi is improving, and he's coming around the final corner as well. Not far to go. Oh no, got me myself completely wrong there. Good old upside down lap. There we go. Just now coming up towards Lesmo, so still fairly early on in the lap. He is still improving on his time. Seeing someone there saying not one BMW or Ferrari inside the top 10. How the tide has turned from previous seasons. Yes, I think this is the fact that we are now obviously using the custom BOP rather than the in-game generated BOP. Allows us to be a lot more live. Obviously it looks at things such as the hot stint laps, bits and pieces like that. Keeps an eye on what cars seem to be excessively quick. Gives them a little bit of an opportunity to limit the amount of performance these cars have by either adding or reducing the amount of weight on the vehicle. But it does mean obviously that we get a nice mix of cars as opposed to sort of using the sort of car that is the strongest sort of meta car according to just the standard ACC BOP, the balance of performance. Right, now they're running in 17th at the moment. Decent improvement should be here. So 17th as he comes towards the line. Gets himself up into 3rd place. A whopping improvement. Absolutely huge. And continuing to lap out there. Right, the most confusing man in motorsport. Joe McLaren racing for Scuderia Ferrari. Car number 2. Comes towards the line. 21st. Now up into 8th place. Big, big improvement for that driver as well. Some drivers really finding some extra speed really late in the session. Jardier was on an improvement, but just as soon as we cut to him, we saw him sliding way, way wide at Lesmos 2. Just not able to keep that car where it was meant to be going. Joe McLaren, I'm going to keep a bit of an eye on him because he is still improving, running in 8th place at the moment. Obviously, maybe feeling the Ferrari a little bit later in the session. Obviously feels a little bit more comfortable than he did earlier on. Very, very early in the lap. And I'm just going to actually jump across to Joe Dorber for Rebound Racing. We get the 777 Honda. That lovely sort of almost browny gold and black. Just a slight little bit of green in there as well. It's a very nice looking livery, that car, that 777. Seeing some love in the chat as well now for Forza BF Racing. You got to let me know. What's the car number? Well, I can get it up on the screen here so we can have a quick look at it towards the end of qualifying, although it pretty much is the end of qualifying now. And while we were looking at the qualifying, there we go. Actually, Giardi has managed to take away pole position. So while I was having a quick look at the chat, we've had a bit of a change-up. Joe Dorber up into 16th place now. Few cars still out there trying to see if anyone is on an improvement. Ranieri is on an improvement still and getting towards the end of the lap. Just coming out now. Oh, big and wide. And off he goes. And that is almost certainly invalidated the lap. Armientero software. Now Sattler's still improving. Josh Waring still improving in the thundering Ford. One corner left to go. He's running in 12th place at the moment, but he's 0.2 up on his lap. If he can maintain the speed here, flicking between 0.2 and 0.3. Large bulk of the cars have already crossed the line, but he was in 12th and now finds himself up into the top 10. 8th place, he'll be very pleased with that one. Matt York, another driver on an improvement, was in 19th, finds himself up to 11th. The Mustang looking very nice here this evening. Seeing if there's any cars out there. Car 39 is still out there, and that is Jardier, who is again improving. Could we see our first driver manage to get into the 151s? Yes, he does, right at the last moment. A 151.887. So even though the track was still incredibly wet, towards the end of that session, lots of drivers out there finding more speed. Kumpo as well, finding some more speed, was in 6th, gets himself up into 5th. That car number 60 is our last one to come across the line. That is Boggy. And comes across the line in 23rd position. Right. We're going to jump to the timetables and we're going to have a little bit of a look. See who was quickest in what sectors. So Giardier quickest in Sector 1 and Sector 2. And then actually it was Buzov in car number 95 who was fastest in Sector 3 with a 36.702. Really, really close stuff when you look at the timing boards. Oh, there we go. And everything's moved around once again. Right, now we should be able to, with any luck. No, it won't let me quite yet. Not quite able to get in control of the cameras, which is always so annoying. But we'll have a run through the grid in just a moment once I am able to. But looking at those times, they were so close together. It was unbelievably close. In fact, let's look at the timetable just one more time. Qualifying. Here we go. So 151.887 ended up being our pole position lap. And actually, if you look over to this side of the screen, the right-hand side of the screen, you can see how the balance of performance works, how they work out, how to sort of make it slightly faster, make it slightly slower, and adjust the cars. And you can see it does come down to the smallest little things. So the Honda NSX here is actually minus 37 kilograms. Whereas you look at some of these cars, and where are we looking here? We've got the BMW M4 is a whopping plus 21 kilograms. So that is how we are working to make sure everything stays exactly as it should. Things that the racing is nice and close. Let's have a little look while we're just sat here and waiting. Annoyingly, can't get away from that screen, which is incredibly annoying. But there we go. We can have a run through the grid as it is. You may just see there as well. Obviously, we have live stewarding going on in the server for Tier 1. So things coming up on screen, any incidents that we should be seeing penalties roll in. I will do my best to give you a breakdown of the penalties as they come. But as you can see, race control. Let's show the world it's possible to get through the first turn without contacts. Please behave, and remember, you can't win a race on the first lap. Yes. And I should also say that obviously this is rather than the standard 60-minute race, it is actually the 90-minute race. So that means that the mandatory pit stop has been changed. So there is one mandatory pit stop, but you are allowed to refuel. This is a big one. Normally you can't refuel whatsoever, and that sometimes does affect certain cars. But this time around, you can refuel. Obviously, the tyre change. Have to see how it all goes. But it should be very interesting to see how this changes the people's drives. But it's looking like it's going to be wet and continue to stay wet for at least the first third of the race. Looking at it now, it's saying it's going to be wet for a whopping 30 minutes. So we'll have to wait and see how it is all looking as the race continues on. Just waiting. Just let me get to the cameras. It is being a pest. Right, we're going to have a run through the grid as we are, just because I cannot wait any longer. Right, so Jardier in pole position. Second place is Aidan Walsingham. Naldi in third place. Remy Papin in fourth. Kumpo in fifth. Gulio in sixth place. Buzov in seventh. Josh Waring in eighth. Joe McLaren in ninth place. And Christian Ranieri rounding out the top 10. Right, 11th place, Matt York, Christophe Sandri. Oh, there we go. Now we can get rid of the horrible bit on the screen. That's a bit better. Apologies, everyone at home. If you just press the button at the wrong time, it all goes to pot. Right, Sandri in 12th position. Craig Law, 13th. Vinogradov in 14th place. Crows, 15th place. Billen in 16th. Joe Dorper, 17th. Delucia in 18th place, Gamov in 19th, Kaz Lukos in 20th, Fazakas 21st place, Kilbaki 22nd place, Poggy in 23rd, Lawrence in 24th place, 25th place is Jorge, Levinchenko 26th place, Jonathan Clifford 27th, Usulin in 28th position, Savage in 29th, and rounding out the grid is Zoom. So there we go. That is the entire grid. And I'm just seeing as well, yeah, Ben Milden from Selector Blitz Racing, all their drivers inside the top 15. Yeah, that's a pretty decent effort. So they're all in that first half of the grid. Right, it's going to be some pretty wet and exciting stuff. Hold on to your horses when it comes to turn 1 and turn 2. That chicane is always an absolute beast, even in the dry. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. As always, with with lap 1, we are very unlikely to go to any kind of replays. It's just not worth it. You miss too much. So, apologies if you are sat at home and screaming, I need to see what happened there. I need to see what happened. But, we do not really jump away just because it ends up causing more trouble than it's worth. So, Aidan Walsingham, starting from second place. He is our championship leader, very closely followed by Jardier, who is going to be in pole position. Now, technically, they are teammates, both racing for Veloce Esports. But all is fair in love and war, and these two will battle it out. We've seen it before. They're not afraid to get stuck in and really go for it. They put on some absolutely fantastic racing for us. It is an absolute pleasure to watch it unfold, and hopefully all will stay clean and all will stay nice between everyone, but no promises. All right, there's no promises from anyone. So currently making their way once again down towards the Ascari chicane. Let's have a bit of a jump down. Let's have a bit of a look at some of the other cars. You can see how far they stretch back, all the way back. Still in single file at the moment. Like honourable mention here, going to be Matt York. Driver, been with AOR for a very long time. Has jumped for a few years, jumped back and forth between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Sort of commentated on him in both of those different different tiers of racing, but he's managed to get himself up into tier 1 and has stayed there for quite a while. Right, now the cars are getting ready and stacking themselves up. We're going to go to the drone cam for this first part, so we can keep a very close eye on what's happening. Hopefully be able to see everything going on. And absolutely fantastic to see. It's some decently different cars. We've got a Honda, an Aston Martin, the Bentley, the Mustang. Got another Honda, another Aston Martin, and then we've got a Ferrari, and we've got a Mercedes, all inside the top 10. It's pretty interesting stuff to see so many different cars still being competitive, especially something like the Bentley of Remy Papin. I mean, that car is ancient at this point and probably quite at home here in the wet. But now, side by side, they're stacking up into position. Final run to the line, and we get ready to go racing at the home of European motorsport, let's say, at Monza. And a light to go green, and it's an absolutely fantastic start for Jardier. Where on earth that came from, I do not know. A little bit of moving and shaking going on in the background. Hopefully everyone's going to make it through nice and cleanly. We are sitting and holding on to the edges of our chairs. We've got cars side by side. So far, so good. They are stacking up a little bit. Cars desperately trying to stop us at some yellow flags, but I think that is mostly just cars going into the backs of each other. The 777, that is Joe Dorber. We find him rotated round the wrong way, trying to get the car going again. But he has dropped right back with the leading pack, though. At the moment, Jardier still holding on to the pole position. Aidan Walsingham winging along behind as well. A couple more cars stacking up into the chicanes. Jardier holding on to it, though. Closely followed by Aidan Walsingham. Although the Timey boy is throwing a right old wobbly at the moment and saying everyone's moved completely into different positions. Let's jump back a little bit. It's all going to be a bit manic on this first lap. Back to Josh Waring. Still, everyone seems to be reasonably well behaved, although now we have got Billin versus Vinogradov, and then we also, Vinogradov, and also got Kaz Lucas as well now. Kaz Lucas actually does get the move done down towards the Ascari, outbrakes himself, and sends Vinogradov spinning round. Maybe a little bit too confident there. Ended up getting the car all out of shape. Could not stop the car. But here we go. Someone who's done a really good first sort of half a lap, essentially. Zhu finds himself all the way up in 23rd place. He started from the back of the grid. 7 places gained. Through the parabolica he goes. He's going to have a Mustang right on the back of him any second, though. Who's going to have the run here? Alcelin looking very, very strong. That Mustang showing why it is based on a muscle car in a straight line. It is an absolute monster. The McLaren holding on for dear life, but he's going to be on the outside of the turn. Who's going to be best on the brakes, though? And they are on the brakes. They're still side by side, and still, even on lap 2, cars stacking up into the chicane. Oh, and we've got cars going round. Lots of bumping. Come on, gentlemen. Oh, and actually, I think that was Craig Law we saw there. And as well, round goes Zhu. It's all gone a bit Pete-tong. Right. Towards the front of the grid now. Jardier holding on to pole position at the moment. Aidan Walsingham is definitely pushing up behind him quickly. A bit further back down the grid, we've got Matt York currently being chased down by Vinogradov. Matt York obviously lost out big on that opening lap. In fact, I think a lot of the Sector Blitz racing guys did as well. We saw Craig Law now down in 28th place. And we've got Crows as well, who I think is one of the Sector Blitz guys. I'm not entirely sure. He is in one of the yellow Mercedes. Oh, Crows killed Law. There we go. Well, at least that's what the chat is saying anyway. I will hold judgment as we didn't see it live, and I am not one of the stewards, but no doubt the stewards will be on it immediately, trying to look into everything going on in this lap. Right, battles going on a little bit further ahead. Kaz Lucas being chased down by Fazekas now. Obviously, we saw the BMW is fairly hit by the BOP this time round. As Lucas in that Rower Racing BMW, absolutely fantastic car, that one. See some love in the chat as well for Savage. Let's see if we can find Savage. Where is Savage running at the moment? He is in 26th place. Oh, there we go. Seeing it in there. Yeah. A quick update. Turns out, no, it wasn't Crows and Law taking each other out. It was two different drivers. But yes, we'll have to wait and see what happens with the stewards. Little battle going on just in front, though. Here we go. We've got Crows versus Gamov versus Vinogradov. Trying to go side by side through here is very, very brave. And now someone trying to take advantage, kind of at 8:01 of Savage. The chat was going wild. They're 3 wide as they now head towards. It's very brave. Very brave indeed. They went through Lesmo 1, 2, 3 wide, and now they're trying to go through. It's all a little bit messy between this battle at the moment. And Craig Law trying to work out if he can try and maybe gain some positions here. He is going to have a decent run. But this battle pack, there's a lot of drivers well out of place. Drivers that were right up inside the top 15 now find themselves towards the back of the grid and squabbling their way up through, trying to battle their way through cars that are just a little bit slower than they were. Right up near the front, here we go. We've got Buzov, Waring, and then Joe McLaren as well, sniffing around the back of them. They're going to be side by side as they come up the main straight. It does look like maybe Josh Waring is just going to have the legs. Can he do anything here? He's going to have the inside as well. You can see Joe McLaren looking to go. They're still side by side as they come into the braking zone. Neither of them wants to give up any room. It's going to be very close. They're bumping. They're stacking each other up. And oh! And actually it turned out it was Joe McLaren getting onto the brakes to try and avoid incidents that ended up sort of coming off the worst there. Sandre has managed to find his way through in the Honkers Bentley. They're still squabbling on. There's another Mustang battle going on in the background as well. They're side by side at the back of the shot. That's going to be some seriously brave stuff as well. Oh, Walter Billin and Ranieri getting together there. And car number 54 of Delucia looking to take advantage. Is going to be up the inside here. Fairly respectful stuff there. And the Mustang getting a little bit unsettled, loses traction as he comes through the first Lesmo, and that has definitely affected his exit speed, and the car still looks fairly unsettled, struggling to get that car to regain grip and push forward. Right, Jardier is fairly closely being followed now by Ian Walsingham. This is getting into the kind of area where the slipstream is really going to be helping the Aston Martin. What can he do? Papin as well, third place, just running a little bit further back, maybe hoping these two are going to trip each other up. He has the fastest lap of the race at the moment with a 1:52.690. So obviously has the pace to not only catch but possibly pass the drivers in front of him if only they trip each other up. But at the moment the Honda looks really strong there through the Parabolica and has managed to stretch away. Right, jumping back to Buzov. He is well ahead of Josh Waring this time around. Although saying that, here comes Josh Waring. Mega run. What can he do? He's going to be on the outside this time for turn 1. Gets the nose just cut off him a little bit. But I think that was some fairly firm but fair racing between the two of them there. Right, a little bit further back, Walter Billin. Currently being chased down by Delucia. Well, that's flipped according to the timing board, but hasn't flipped anywhere else. So, still showing Delucia in. There we go. Now it's swapped itself around. It's sorting itself out. Happy days. Right, further back down the grid, Matt York, who qualified really well, now finds himself in 21st place and chasing after the back of Alcelin. Oh, car number 23, I think that was. Just went to the pits. That was Gamov. So for whatever reason, deciding to abandon it this time round. Uselin being chased down by Matt York, the two absolute stallions that are the Ford Mustangs, and possibly two of the brightest cars on the grid. Although saying that, Vinogradov right behind them in the world's brightest pink Nissan GTR. And you've got Poggy just in front of them as well. Oh, possible battles going on a little bit further back. Yes, Joe Dorber versus Kroos. Joe Dorber does get to the inside just before the Ascari chicane. Gets it done. What can Kroos do here? Can Kroos look to the inside for the Parabolica? Who is going to have the best run? Looking like the Honda's hanging on to it. We saw the Honda in the hands of Jardier. It was very, very strong through that final turn earlier. The Mercedes do anything. Car number 233 looking to try and regain some positions. Possibly going to be subbing up the end of the road. I don't think there is. Right, going up to this one now. So it is still Matt York versus Uselin. Poggy has found his way through very quickly. I do apologise. Poggy was in front of these two before, so actually maybe Poggy being reeled in now. Uselin looking pretty strong here, sniffing around the back of the Ferrari. Matt York closing right up as well. This definitely seems like the battle to keep an eye on. In fact, let's go to Matt York and let's go on the dashboard of the prancing pony that is York Sport Racing Mustang. You can see just how little visibility there is out there with this rain that is continuing to pour down bucket loads of rain. And they possibly have up to 90 minutes of it here. Qualifying was wet, the race has been wet as well. It is looking proper soggy out there. Who is bravest as they exit the Ascari, and it looks like a fairly decent run. You can see just reeling in Uselin. What can he do? He looks to the inside. Is he going to try and outbrake him? It's going to have to be some pretty brave stuff. He's got a decent overlap. And he does get up the inside. Come on, cameraman. There we go. And he has it done. So now this will be his first time to get a run down towards turn one in front of him. And what can he do now that he's got that move done? What can he do? Can he push forward and take after the back of Poggy? Right, Jardier still holding on to the position. Aidan Walsingham has now set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:52.492. And that was his last time round. Gap down to about half a second between these drivers. Kubacki being chased down by Kaz Lucas. Oh, running a very soft suspension setup. You can almost see the way that the tyres bounced up and down as he went through. Now, I think that must be a bit of a glitch because it's showing that Kubacki is running on slicks, but I very much doubt he is running on slicks in weather like this. There just can be absolutely no way. Battle has come down ever so slightly, but not quite enough compared to other racing going on the circuit. Everyone just getting themselves into the groove. Right, we're going to go to Matt York, who is... Oh, and in the background of the shot there, that was Auslin. We're going to go back 30 seconds. See if we can spot what happened there. I'm going to go to the helicam as well. So this is coming down towards the Ascari chicane. I think it was on the exit of the Ascari chicane we saw the issue. So runs in here, runs a lot of inside curbs, sends himself way out wide, and there is a collision with the barriers as well. That Armco taking quite a swipe. And now Kabaki looking to take advantage of that slightly damaged Mustang, and he is on the inside of turn one. They're going to be side by side. This is going to be another case of drivers managing to hold it together. And Alcinin just about closes the nose and gets it done. Right, first one of the incidents coming through. So between car number 65 and car number, I apologise, car number 233. No further action being taken, and that was between Matt York and car number 223 is Crows. So Matt York receives a warning for lag-related incident. So apparently they are saying it is just down to the lag that happened. Something that is unique to sim racing, obviously, is the fact you do get a little bit of internet lag sometimes. Obviously, races from all over the world coming together, and sometimes it does mean you get the odd little wobble. This battle continuing on. So Vinogradov knows he can get past, but he's got to try and do it again, and he's got to try and do it at a time. Oh, and another penalty coming in now. 30-second penalty coming in for Fazekas, car number 4. We'll wait for the write-up to come through on that one. Here we go. It is in. So this is lap 1 between car number 423 and the 777. 30-second penalty and 3 licence points. Fazekas receives a penalty for causing an avoidable collision before turn 1 on the opening lap of the race. So that would have been the braking zone towards turn 1. As we said, sadly we will not be looking at any replays of it due to the fact that it will just throw us into absolute despair trying to go back and look at all of those. But for now, Alcinin is managing to hold on to his position. So a quick check back in with the leaders. Apologies, a weird whistle come through my voice there as well. Jardier still holding on to it for now. Aidan Walsingham just sitting in behind, doing a decent thing. He's just continuing to push forward. We've seen Walsingham has actually set the fastest lap still, but isn't able to consistently catch up with the back of Jardier. Sadre in the 802 car, slowly being reeled in by Kumpo. Kumpo was about 100th of a second faster last time round. And more penalties coming in now as well. Well, Kaz Lucas 747, and we should know exactly what happened in just a moment when it comes up on the stewards' inquiry board. And the penalties are even bigger, and again it's now 25 seconds. Should know pretty soon. Here we go. Right, involving Kaz Lucas, that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at Fazekas, we're looking at Kaz Lucas, and we don't know about that one quite yet, so we'll just keep half an eye on the board to see what happens. Oh, we've had a change of positions here. We're going back to keep an eye on this one. So what happened here, that is, whereabouts in the second was that? That's the Parabolica. And so for the first time, actually, Aidan Walsingham was much quicker through the Parabolica, or managed to get there. So we go to the replay, and you can see they're side by side all the way. Oh, and a bit of a rub and a tickle as they come towards turn 1. Neither of them wanting to give up the position. They're still side by side all the way through turns 1 and 2. Absolutely dedicated to trying to get ahead. And in fact now, Jardier has managed to break ahead again. But that obviously is maybe showing a little bit of a weakness, a chink in the armour, so it were. We'll have to keep an eye on what is going to happen there. We'll try and keep a very close eye on those times. Walter Billen still in this battle with DeLucia. Cars just starting to spread out a little bit. Okay, here we go. So we now have information on Kaz Lucas's penalty. So this was between car number 14 and 747 on lap 1. 25-second penalty and 3 licence points. Kaz Lucas receives a penalty for causing an avoidable collision on the opening lap of the race. It could have been a lot messier, but it also could have been a lot better, it has to be said. Right, DeLucia looking very, very strong here. Can they get a decent run through the Parabolica? Possibly hold on to the back of that Mustang. Try and drag themselves up the pit straight. Maybe be able to do something in Sector 1. It's never a good sign when we're only 20 minutes into the race and my throat is already starting to go. I've got another hour and 10 minutes of this, and then I've got another hour and a half of it tomorrow. So I think by the end of Tier 2 tomorrow, I'm probably going to sound somewhat like a drowned cat. The battle continuing on for now, though. And at the moment, it's a bit of a stalemate between these drivers. Let's have a jump a bit further down the grid and have a look at some of our drivers that are further back. So Levinchenko running a 26th place at the moment. Savage running just in front. Jorge in the pit already. And there's Craig Law, who had an absolutely fantastic qualifying. Finds himself all the way back down in 24th position. And that car does appear to be running with some fairly decent battle scars. And they've got Melvin Crows running just in front as well. But we just saw in that little bit of the shot. So this is now Vinogradov versus Auselin. They were absolutely nose to tail as they came into the Ascari, but it looks like maybe the Mustang was a little bit braver on the brakes, able to carry more speed through. This also allows Dorber into the mix. Absolutely lovely gantry shot, as you see there. Right now, coming through the Parabolica again. It's 10 laps in the book already, and just that Mustang is so strong through the Parabolica, and then on that pit straight, it just absolutely thunders away. And there we go, big collision between them. It all got a little bit choppy as they came into the braking zone. Vinogradov was passed, but only just, and then there was a bit of a chip, and sadly that has really put Auselin off his pace. He's lost 2 positions. Dorber and Vinogradov have come through, and now he finds himself side by side with a recovering Crows. Can he do anything here? He is up the inside, and through goes Crows as well. So in the space of about 2 corners, he has lost 3 positions. He'll be absolutely devastated with himself with that one. Just seeing in the chat, someone saying about, you know, maybe getting a co-commentator to help with it. That would be lovely. And I have asked about this, but it's surprisingly hard to find people willing to dedicate this amount of time and sit here and yell at motorsport, especially because lots of people want to actually race on Mondays and Tuesdays. But you know what it's like. I suffer for my art, as we say. So DeLucia versus Walter Billin. Again, this battle sort of ebbing and flowing. It gets very close and then it starts to open up again. The lead gap has opened right up now to 1.2 seconds. Aidan Walsingham has a gap of 2 seconds over Remy Papin. Everyone sort of settled in. About 25 minutes of the race done so far. And lots of drivers seem to be settling into their positions on the track. Nothing too wild going on. Sandre and Kumpo pretty close together. If anything, they're probably our closest cars out on the circuit at the moment. Kumpo still lapping faster. Let's see if we can look over the rear wing of the Honkers Bentley. Absolutely wicked looking car. Oh, and the Honda in the background getting all sorts of out of shape going through the Ascari. And now we see the Bentley open up the taps, absolutely going for it. This is the Bentley's strongest place, is going to be on the straight lines. The Honda is no slouch at all, but still just nothing compared to that Bentley in a straight line. Absolute monster, and I imagine running as little aero as possible to try and take full advantage of it. Again, actually, you can see the Honda in the background getting a little bit out of shape still. Battles continuing on. Billin versus DeLucia. They close right up just as they were getting into Parabolica, and then they've opened up a little bit now, although closing back up under braking. DeLucia, it looks like he's slightly deeper into the corner. The angle we were looking at, it looked like Matt York was very, very close to Lawrence, but that might be sort of an illusion. We'll jump back. There's Lawrence. And Matt York is certainly sort of within range, but not incredibly close. Car number 98 of Lawrence. Lovely livery on that Mercedes, it's got to be said. Still being chased down currently by Matt York. Nearly half an hour of the race done, and still the rain continues to fall. Seeing some love in the chat as well for Clifford. Seems only wrong not to get him on. There we go. Clifford for HBR. That 999 Lamborghini, the V10 singing away. In fact, let's really experience the V10 together. Screams its way down the back straight towards the Parabolica. Oh, we have got to go over though to the battle going on here. Joe McLaren, not Joe McLaren at all. Kumpo versus Ranieri. Just opening up a little bit. Got Sandre running just in front. To be fair, Ranieri looking very, very strong. Looks like he might be coming up towards the back of Kumpo. One of those moments where you've got to have a little bit of a look how the car is going to handle over a longer period of time. You think normally, sort of in a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop, you might not run your tyres quite so long. And in the background of the shot, you can see Walter Billen getting all kinds of out of shape. Coming out of Lesmos too. Still holds on to the position though. Hasn't quite let it go. I'll quickly jump back to Clifford just because we were with them very briefly. It was only very brief. And in doing so, we have spotted a little battle going on a little bit further back. We've got Lawrence versus Matt York. Matt York taking an absolutely huge chunk of inside curb. He's looking to try and get the toe all the way down the back straight now. Has a look to the inside, trying to set himself up. He has got an overlap. Down towards the Parabolica. Who is bravest on the brakes? Who's going to get the car turned in? Matt York does go through. Little bit wide. He's trying to avoid the green painted area of the circuit. He'll have barely any traction out there, but he does seem to just about be able to do it. He's going to have to try and hold on to it all the way down towards turn 1 now. Matt York still holding on to it for now. Continuing to push on. Can he do it? I think he probably can. Yes, gets it done. Holds on to the position into turn 1, and so that should be reasonably well job done at this point. Unless there's any kind of big changes. Matt York obviously had that incident in lap 1, but they did put it down to sort of a lag, whether that be internet or game related, so we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, no penalty. There we go though, little battle just starting to heat up. See, a little bit starting to heat up. Here we go, Vinogradov right on the back of Dorber, heading into Lesmos 1. I think down towards the Ascari, this could be some super close to the wire stuff. Just looking there, Craig Law just hasn't been able to regain the positions that he had through qualifying. Maybe later in the race the car will come alive and he'll really be able to push forward, but obviously the field is really spread out at this time. Basically half the circuit covered in cars. Right, here we go. Vinogradov looking to try and get an advantage over Dorber. He's going to be in the tow. Can he do anything brave here? He does start to look to the inside, but the gap wasn't really there and ended up having to get on the brakes a lot more than maybe he was intending to, and that's going to really lose him some speed. Don't think he's going to have the legs to catch up back towards turn 1. It certainly would be a major effort if he manages to close that gap up. I think for the moment, once again, that battle just dwindles away a little bit. Battle that has not dwindled away though. Sandre versus Kumpu. Here we go, and here's a big move, sending it to the inside down towards Lesmos. He has got the overlap. It's just about squeezing against each other. And the Honda does go through, and now Ranieri looking to try and take advantage. Went to go to the outside. That's slammed in his face. No chance of getting through there, but this is now a three-way battle, and in this kind of conditions, when you're racing this close down towards the Ascari, it is always edge of your seat stuff. Kumpo having to go defensive, holding the left-hand side of the circuit. A little bit of a squeeze outside. Doesn't quite make contact, but it was very, very close. This is exactly where Kumpo knows he is going to be vulnerable to these two, and he's running as much as he possibly can, running all the speed towards the outside. He went pretty wide there. Manages to hold it together, and he's just about holding it off. Sandre going defensive now against Ranieri. Ranieri going to try and go all the way around the outside. It's a long way to go. Maybe go for a bit of a switchback. And now Sandre holds onto it. Ranieri looking very racy though. So Sandre versus Ranieri. Essentially British muscle versus American muscle. Quick look now. So another incident report has been put through, but there is no penalties in place. So I'll have a quick read through it anyway. So this is on lap 4 involving car number 34, 95, 7 and 2. None of the drivers involved can be solely blamed for what happened, so no further action will be taken. I think that's kind of fair. I mean, if it's either everyone gets a penalty or no one gets a penalty, I think probably most drivers would probably say, I'd rather just no one gets a penalty on that one. The gap is fairly well opened up now. Sandre doing a decent job of breaking away from Ranieri. Obviously got slowed as he was in the battle with Kumpu. He's now managed to open it up. Here is a battle going on, though, and just inside the top 5. No, it's not. We thought it was, and it was just the timing board throwing an absolute wobbly. I love it when it does this. So that is not a battle on track whatsoever. Main one continuing on seems to be the one we've got our eyes on at the moment. Sandre and Ranieri. But let's jump on board the dashboard of the prancing pony. Ranieri car number 7. Armentario software. Running in 10th place at the moment, looking to try and gain a position. But Sandre has sort of regained some composure and is now pushing forward. He was marginally quicker last lap than Ranieri, so Sandre doing everything he can to try and pull away. I think this is what makes the Apex Online Racing, the racing leagues, as good as they are, is the fact that obviously the tier system works really, really well. And obviously now we've got the custom BOP as well that really closes up any gaps in the car's performance. Is this kind of close racing? I mean, we were sitting on board the dash there of Christian Ranieri, chasing after the back of Sandre. I mean, it's racing like that where you see that there is barely anything between them. And they're just trying to find every last inch to get through. We've got a back marker just in the way at the moment, although moving off the racing line, making sure everyone can get through, doing a really good job there, actually. So it would have been under blue flags. Ranieri, though, still trying to push forward. Getting a little bit out of shape. Further back, here we go. So we've got Lawrence and then we've got Poggi coming up behind them. Ferrari versus Mercedes. Lawrence well down on his lap time at the moment. Just over a third of the race done. And now, possible move down towards the Parabolica. I'm surprised he's not staying in the tow, as opposed to just... He's moved off the racing line to try and make some difference there. Lawrence just trying to maybe a bit of a defensive move there, or maybe trying to find some wetter road, trying to keep the tyre temperatures down. Drivers will be battling not only... So they won't only be battling against each other, but also against the conditions and the cars themselves. Because you're running on the wet tyre, it can really change the way the car handles. If the tyres start to get too hot, they sort of start getting was loose underneath you. You can almost feel the blocks of the tread starting to break away. And the car ends up floating. It becomes very, very unpredictable on turn in and braking. This little battle at the moment is just settling slightly. One that is starting to heat back up again is Kumpo versus Sandra. And in fact, that's a change for position, isn't it? Let's go back 30 seconds and we should be able to see what's going on. Let's go to the drone cam. It was a mistake from the Honda. And that has allowed the honkers to come squeezing up the inside. Just about gets it done. And there we go. You can see gain the position there. And that was through Lesmos 2. Snuck on through, and so now the Bentley regains another position, running in 8th place now. Kumpo running just behind, and Ranieri will be thinking, right, I smell blood in the water. I know that Kumpo's having a bit of a hard time. Let's see if I can push up. But Christophe Sandre gains a position and finds himself quite comfortably in 8th place. Seeing a fair bit of love in the chat for Carnival 802 of Sandre. It is a lovely livery on that car as well, the Honkers liveries. I think mostly that it just has in big letters honk on the side of it. And I'm a big fan of a goose. So there we go, always good to see. Right, Giardier, let's jump on with our leaders because we haven't actually seen any of them in a long time. Giardier still holding on to pole position at the moment. Aidan Walsingham running in 2nd place. Remy Pappen in 3rd. They're still fairly close together. We've also got Craig Law, who obviously has now done his mandatory pit. Running in amongst them all. Nowdy running in 4th, having a bit of a race all on his own at the moment. Julio just finds himself coming up towards the back of, I think that is Fazekas. Then we have number 95 of Buzov. Josh Waring running in 7th place at the moment. Honk honk, it's Sandre. Find him running in 8th place and 9th and 10th respectively. Kumpo and Ranieri running absolutely bumper to bumper. The car's hoping to try and get a bit of a run. But we're going to jump on board the dash of Ranieri to get a bit of an idea when you've got 2 cars running quickly in front of you, how little vision you have as you're flying down the road. Got the spray not from 1 but from 2 cars. Oh, there we go. I'm just seeing as well that apparently Law had 15 seconds of damage to be repaired. Oh, and there's a big mistake there from Kumpo and finds himself off the circuit. He's definitely going to lose the position there. We see just cannot get the braking done. Goes deep, goes off the track, has to rejoin. And he's now dropped in behind Ranieri. So there we go, Kumpo obviously pushing very hard towards turn 1. The drone cam giving us a lovely shot of it. The circuit, loses a position and can no longer take the fight to Honkers. Sorry. To Sandre. I feel like Sandre fans in real life would show up to a race with little horns and just continuously blast them. Right, Vinogradov, we're going to jump back. It's saying he was right in the middle of something, and he does have Crows fairly close behind him, although the time people were saying it was much closer than it appears to be on track. Right, so the battle that was Sandre Ranieri, Kumpo is now turning into Ranieri, Kumpo and Billen. Billen caught up at the back of them now after the mistake that was made by Kumpo, dropping himself back a little bit. Delucian is into the pits now. But this little battle just starting to heat up. It's a Mustang sandwich with a Honda in the middle. Reaching around the halfway mark. Lots of drivers obviously going for planned pit stops at the halfway point, trying to ensure they've got tyres to run towards the end of the circuit as well as the beginning of the race. They want to try and keep the tyres as fresh as they possibly can, but it might be bold strategies from someone that might end up giving them an advantage. Kumpo very much looking like the aggressor here. Maybe those tyres just holding together a little bit better, or possibly just wringing the absolute neck out of the Honda to try and get ahead. Gaps everywhere else seem to have settled down. I know we seem to have concentrated on these cars quite a bit, but down towards the Ascari, they are now bumper to bumper. Kumpo versus Ranieri. Jumping onto the dashboard of Kumpo, pushing forward after Ranieri now. Can he do anything down towards the Parabolica? It's going to have to be some pretty brave stuff. That gap is at least 2 car lengths, although it is closing down. Obviously had a much better exit of the Ascari chicane. And the Mustang looking a little bit squirrely there. Loses a little bit more ground. Again, we hit that halfway point at any time. Cars might come piling into the pits. Got more coming in, Waring, Buzov, Papin, all into the pits. Not able to do anything there into turn 1. Obviously we saw last lap round a mistake on Kumpo's part, although he really has closed up the gap. We might be able to see something now down towards the second chicane. As we jump to the outside, cameras getting a bit of a look. It's a really good run. They might be able to see a quick whip over to the right, the left-hand side, sorry, to try and get an overlap, and he does have an overlap. He's on the brakes. They get together. It was a decent old bump, and again, Kumpo happened to go off-roading. It was always going to be super, super close. It was always going to be maybe a little bit of rough and tumble to go through. Right, penalty coming in now. So this is... Oh, this is a big old incident. Okay, car number 10, 11, 23, 60, 98, 204, 226, 208, and the 999 on lap 2. And there is a 25-second penalty and 2 licence points for car number 226, and a 25-second penalty and 2 licence points for car 201. Obviously lots of cars involved, and it is both Craig Law and Ronan Savage that will receive a penalty for causing an incident on the second lap of the race. So, big penalties rolling in, this midway point in the race. Oh, there's side-by-side going on there. I think that's not actually for position though, those 2 Fords. And Kumpo seems to have dropped back a fair bit. We now have a new provisional leader in the way of Ada Walsingham, as Chiardier, Naldi and Giulio all into the pits as well. Obviously going for slightly different pit strategies, these drivers. Be interesting to see if Aiden comes in on this next lap or decides he wants to push longer. Obviously the car still feeling fairly quick. He's not really down on his lap times either. He's still putting in mid 152s. But these pit stops certainly are going to shake things up just a little bit. Lawrence still being chased down by Dorber. Now both these cars have completed their mandatory pit stops. It's saying as well that Jonathan Clifford's in a bit of a tight one, but I'm not sure he is. have we seen a switch between Remy Papin and Jardier? This is one to keep an eye on. Remy Papin. And where is car number 39? So Papin has completed his pit stop. Yes, so Papin with that super early pit stop has now found himself in front of Jardier. So the real one's going to be is when Aiden comes in, is he also going to lose out to Remy Papin? That Bentley obviously going really, really strong. Papin now finds himself running as pole driver who has pitted. Obviously still another 10 drivers in front that haven't pitted whatsoever. Fazekas kind of going to be out the running a little bit with that 30-second penalty. But for now, on the road, Aidan Walsingham hasn't completed his pit stop, but is running in pole position. Christophe Sandre running in second place, but again, has not completed his pit stop. And Ranieri running in third place, but again, has not completed the pit stop. They've still got another 40 minutes or so to get it done if they want to. Now the time ball being thrown into absolute disarray by people pitting and not pitting. Jumping on board with Poggi, who is very closely being chased down by Lawrence and Dorber. This one's still super, super hot at the moment. Obviously the pit stops bunching people back up. They'd all spread out. But now that most people are now completing the pits, it is going to mean that we're going to start to see this stack of cars rebuild. And this little squabble has now allowed... Poggi is getting away a little bit, and it's looking like Lawrence and Dorber are the ones that are going to be really, really battling it out. I'm just trying to keep an eye on the front. Right, Aidan Walsingham has come into the pits. So the one that we need to keep an eye on now is Papin, running in 11th place. Whereabouts on the circuit is he? He is still coming down towards the Ascari chicane. Keep going to call it the Shikari, but it's definitely not Enter Shikari. It is definitely not that bad at all. It's a racing corner. This is the one to keep an eye on. What is Aiden? Is Aiden going to be far enough ahead to hold on to it? Because he was a fair old distance between these two. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see Remy Papin take pole position in this race. The next one to keep an eye on, obviously, is Jardier as well. Because before the pits, obviously, we had Jardier leading the way. And yet, although Walsingham is moving, he's still in the pits. He's not away yet. And where is Jardier? Jardier coming flying along now. And he is going to have the advantage and goes through. So with all of this, all of it has gone on. Remy Papin has pulled an absolute blinder when it comes to strategy. That earlier pit stop has now allowed him to get through. I mean, he is going to have to run older tyres further into the race. Still another 37 minutes of the race left to go. But now currently running in 9th on the track. But first of our cars that has pitted is Remy Papin in that lovely green Bentley Team M Sport. Bentley Continental. It's just such a beautiful car, isn't it? It's one of those cars that although I can never really use it in the game, the steering wheel's on the wrong side. It is such a lovely car to look at, and I'm so glad to see that we can still have cars like this, still competitive in the top tier of Apex Online Racing. Right, Levinchenko saying he's having a battle with... oh, this is the battle between him and Nardi. Sorry, Naldi. And here we go to the inside. Can anything be done here? There's a decent old overlap. Levinchenko still running on the original tyres he started with. Obviously, Naldi running on a fresher set. No point squabbling too much between them. And in fact, you can see the way the Mustang just drove through the Ascari chicane with absolutely no issues whatsoever. Those fresher tyres obviously really providing the grip that they needed. And if anything, I would say the gap between Jardier and Remy Papin is increasing still. Certainly visually looks that way. Little one that isn't increasing. This battle going on here. Poggi, Lawrence, Dorber. See Poggi for AF Corsa. You've got DRS Esports, that's Lawrence, and then Dorber in Rebound Racing. And Craig Law obviously running with that 25-second penalty, so the race really goes from bad to worse for that driver. We're going to look back over the rear wing as they go onto the pit straight. Be looking back at Lawrence, looking back at Dorber. Ferrari looking pretty strong actually in the straight line there. I would have expected the Ferrari to maybe start to lose out a little bit to the two cars behind, but really didn't seem to. Oh, car number 11. Car number 11 with a yellow flag. That is Levinchenko, who was running in 12th. We'll try and get to that driver. We're on with them, and we'll go back 30 seconds. So we had a yellow flag there for that driver, and what was going on there? Oh, the tyres just let go. They just couldn't grip any longer and slid out there at the Lesmos 1. And lost a lot of ground in that one. A lot of ground. Hasn't pitted yet either, Levinchenko, so not gone the way they would have hoped at all. Right, so leading on the road at the moment is Ranieri, followed by Kumpo, and then Kabaki in third place. Again, these are drivers that have not pitted yet. Just under 34 minutes of the race left to go, so we're into the final third, pretty much. Super tight between them, these two continuing to battle on. Having a little look now, Kubaki still improving, Vinogradov improving as well. And there was a big slide and off they go. Massive bump there, that was Kumpo absolutely losing it on the exit of the Shikari. We're going to go to the drone cam to get a bit of an idea of what was going on. So they were super closing in the back of Ranieri, pushing their way through the spray. Got on the brakes. Is it a case of just running too much painted stuff? I think it was. You can see the car already sliding, and then that is it. As soon as the car goes sideways, the tyres aquaplane. And that is it, and the car will be now carrying significant amount of damage. So now Kumpo into the pits. But yeah, that car will almost certainly need some repair work. Matt York, currently running in 4th place on the circuit, again, has not pitted yet. Ed Walsingham doing his best to try and catch up with the back of Jardier. Looking at the lap times, Remy Papin is still outlapping them at the minute, and by quite a bit as well, actually, by a couple of hundredths of a second. So Papin obviously feeling fairly comfortable. Probably kicking themselves after that mistake, just pushing a little bit too hard, trying to gain. Ended up coming home. His chickens came home to roost, and sadly, there was a fox there waiting for him at the Ascari. Right, DeLucia versus Clifford, car number 54 versus the 999. Even though we were looking mostly at DeLucia then, all you can hear is the V10 wailing away behind. This is the battle for 18th place at the moment. Lifford obviously looking to try and pull something out the bag to close the gap up. It's opened up a fair bit now, though. Lawrence versus Dorber, though. This one's still squabbling on. Poggy has just managed to just about break away from them that little bit. While these two are squabbling, Dorber trying to take advantage. Can he do anything here? They're through the second chicane now, swinging their way through the Lesmos. It's one. There's two. You can see the Honda getting super slidey the way that car is running. Seems to be able to carry the speed with it, but it looks very, very loose. Whether that's a bit of a suspension issue, I'm not entirely sure, but the car does look super stiff and slidey as he comes off the corner exits. Big chunk of inside and then exit curve as well. And now Dorber does have a good run. He is right on the back of Lawrence. Can he do anything here? He does look to the inside for the Parabolica. They're going to have the tiniest of overlaps. He does get up the inside, somehow gets the car turned in. There's no contact between them, but I don't think you could have got anything between those cars. I don't think a fly would have fitted between them. And there we go. Dorber goes through, takes the position away from Lawrence. It has been a battle of the ages. It seems to have gone on for pretty much the entire race so far. But he's finally got it done. He is now through and trying to push forward. So Dorber will now be trying to set his eyes a little bit further up the road towards the back of Pocky. Now he is through. What can he do? Can he push forward, or is he going to find himself in a bit of a stalemate? So only a few cars left to pit. Oh, we've missed the swap between these two. I do apologise. So at some point, Giardier's made it through on Remy Papin. We're so busy keeping an eye on this battle further down the grid. Giardier regains the lead of the race. Remy Papin running in second place now, but he's got Aidan Walsingham absolutely hunting him down. Now trying to have a bit of a look to see how the timing boards are looking. Apologies if there was any obscure background noise coming through there. Hopefully shouldn't have been, but there is a possibility there might have been a bit of background noise coming through. Giardier finding himself up ahead with the back marker to contend with. Does get through though. When we say back marker, it's Melvin Crowes running in 6th place, although he hasn't actually done his pit stop yet. So that explains why that car is quite so high up the grid. Big move to the inside. That was some brave stuff. I kind of want to go back and see that from Aidan's point of view. We'll see it on the dash. That was a big old moment, and I almost wonder if to a certain extent maybe Remy Papin thought there was going to be an incident and gave him more space. Either way, Aidan Walsingham taking no prisoners. He was coming through. He always had his nose to the inside and just goes for it. It was a bit of an odd move there, to be fair, from Papin. I really thought he would have tried to defend that slightly more, but there we go. He just goes on through. Maybe Papin knowing when he's sort of beaten him in terms of tyres. He was well off his time last time round. He was nearly 2 seconds off of what he had been doing. So maybe the gamble that Papin took with that super early pit stop has not worked out for him. Maybe those tyres really are now struggling. So still leading the race at the moment is Ranieri, followed by Kubacki and then Matt York. Oh dear, that looked a little bit close to the background. We'll have a quick replay of that one. So into the braking zone. Papin goes to the inside, but there wasn't really anywhere to go. And and Mercedes continues on its lap. Again, the Mercedes doesn't have to move out of the way in GT3 blue flag rules. It can't defend the position, but to be fair, he isn't really defending the position. Though technically, on the road, this is a battle for position. Although Kroos is obviously hasn't completed his pit stop. Yeah, seeing it in the chat as well, that people think that Papin has sort of let people through. So yeah, not sure what's gone on there. Nearly a very big slice off the back of the car there. So we're all getting a little bit close to the wire between these two. Right, Ranieri finally comes into the pits, so he's going for it now. Still not to pit. 25 minutes and change left of the race. A little bit further down the grid. Looks like we've got Sandre versus... Is that Levinchenko? It is Levinchenko. So again, Levinchenko hasn't completed his pit stop yet. Oh, but Sandre way off the racing line there. So not sure really what happened there on the exit. I think maybe just had to catch a bit of oversteer and ended up just deciding it was best to go way off the circuit. Luckily there's plenty of tarmac all the way out there. I managed to get it back before messing up the tyres too much. Right, Kroos into the pits as well now. Matt York into the pits. So at the moment, the front row is Kubacki and Vinogradov, the two Nissan GTRs. So Kubacki leading on the road at the moment, but obviously hasn't completed the pit stop, and Vinogradov also leading on the road, but has not completed the pit stop. Levinchenko now being chased down by Kumpo. Again, that car has gone an hour and 7 minutes on the fuel tank and on the tyres. Those tyres are going to be absolutely near the limit of destruction, I would imagine. They've gone a long old way. In fact, looking at their lap times, they are starting to lose a bit of time. Fazekas finds himself in a little bit of a squabble with Kaz Lucas. In the amount of cars, they've just started to spread out a fair bit now. Josh Waring appears to be... or according to the timing board, was very close, but I'm not entirely sure he is. I think that was a bit of a timing board error. It was showing Matt York as being within half a second, but he'd have to be going incredibly quick for that to be half a second. Oh, here we go. Now it's all moving and shaking. Kumpo has taken the position away from Levinchenko, and Walter Billen has come through as well. So Kumpo actually got that done, I think, before the timing line. Walter Billen has got it done just after turn 1 and 2. And now is really starting to chase after the back of Kumpo. Looks to the inside towards that second chicane. He's up the inside. Oh, God, how on earth they didn't touch that, I have no idea. It very much affected both of their lines there now, though. Kumpo having to go defensive and all the way around the outside. That was always going to have to be super brave. He hasn't quite got it. He tried to carry his speed through, but had to just maybe didn't have the corner exit speed he needed to hold on to the position. So Kumpo versus Billen. I think this might be one of the battles to take us through to the end of the race. This is the battle for 13th place. The Mustang looking very strong and a little bit of a clip. Don't think that was intentional, but the two of them just getting together. Who is going to be bravest here on the brakes? It looks like Kumpo is just able to brake that little bit later. And we saw one of the Hondas go very, very squirrely here earlier. So this little battle is really starting to heat up now. Kumpo, Billen, Levinchenko and Delucia all starting to stack up on each other. Vinogradov has now come into the pits, and here's a move to the inside. Can Waterbillen do it? The Mustang, you would imagine, would have the legs on the Honda down the straight. He's right in the toe, but he's going to be forced to go to the outside towards turn one. We know how good the brakes are on that Honda. We know how late he can leave it. There is still a tiny overlap between them, and the Honda does just about get to the inside. They're giving each other room. Not a lot of room, but there was room given. A little bit of a paint rub as they exit the corner, but through goes Waterbillen. He has now gained the position. Levinchenko and Delucia now right on the back of Kumpo. Obviously, Levinchenko not completed the pit stop yet, but this is still a battle for position on the road. Both these drivers fully able to. Delucia looks to the inside. Come on, timing board. There it is. We saw it there. Right, we're going to nip back 10 seconds. So you see the big dive to the inside, down towards the chicane. He does go through. And Levinchenko doesn't put up too much of a fight. I think his exit speed from the chicane was absolutely destroyed. So having a look here as well. So inquiry between cars number 11 and 34 on lap 30. Josh Waring is to receive a warning for making contact with another car. So just a warning, no license points and no time penalty put there. But there, obviously, it has been noted. And that means that if you've been noted, you're going to have a very close eye put on you. Delucia still fully chasing after the back of Kumpo. And in fact, they're side by side. Kumpo going to be to the inside. But can he do anything as the Ferrari gets it done before the corner? If he can just maintain the speed, it's going to be going all the long way around. It might mean that his exit speed is slightly greater, but they're going to be side by side as they thunder up the pit straight. I can only imagine that Waterbillen is looking in his mirrors and thinking, dear God, here they both come side by side. They have been absolutely neck and neck, nothing between these two the entire way up the pit straight. And finally, Delucia just cannot quite get it done. He might be at a little bit of a switchback here. Not quite able to. Continues to push on. Oh, look at that. In 30 minutes, the rain's going to slightly subside. But it doesn't matter because the race only finishes in 18 minutes. But I think this little battle for 14th place might be one to try and keep an eye on that towards the end of the race as well. Half a second between Giardier and Walsingham now. We saw them have a bit of a squabble earlier in the first stint. Are we going to see a repeat of that? Are we going to see a change of position? Giardier, to try and keep championship hopes alive, is going to want to try and come home in pole position. And much the same though, Aiden is going to continue his domination and is going to want a third pole position in 3 races. They might be teammates, but they will squabble like angry cats over fish. Right, Kumpo versus Delucia. This battle continuing on. Delucia looking at, trying to have a little look there. Not quite able to do anything towards the Ascari. Who's going to get the better exit? It looks like Delucia is getting the better exit down towards the final turn again. The Parabolica, he tried to go all around the outside last time. As it turns out, complete stalemate between the two cars as they went up the pit straight. He might be in a slightly better position if he could just outpace Kumpo here in the corner. Then maybe use the toe on the pit straight to try and get to the inside for turn 1. Maybe get a bit more of an overlap. They were absolutely wheel to wheel. I think we just saw Levinchenko dip into the pits in the back of the shot. Yes, we did. He is now into the pits. Delucia not able to gain the position yet. 16 and a bit minutes left to go. So that little squabble between them continues on for another few laps. Giardier and Walsingham. Walsingham is now set fastest lap of the race this side of the pit stops. The 152.252. Goodness gracious, try and say that quickly. All the 5s and all the 2s all in a big long row. They've got a back marker in front of them. Who is going to be the best here? Aiden, obviously our reigning champion, looking to defend his honour. Giardier, the happiest man in all of sim racing, and to be honest, just motorsport in general now. You can see big flash of the lights from Giardier. He's got a back marker in front of him and he's desperate to get through because Aiden has really closed up on the back of him. He's flashing the lights. He's really going to hope that the Mustang's going to jump out the way, but might not be quite as easy as that. Again, the Mustang isn't going to defend positions, but he doesn't have to give it up either. Oh, and it does actually decide to abandon it on the chicane. Goes off on the second chicane to give space to the 2 racing. Again, didn't have to, but obviously thought there's no chance of losing another position. I might as well just take the hit on that one. Sometimes the pressure of having the 2 leaders right behind you in an absolute fisticuff battle can be slightly off-putting. So whether that was intentional or not, either way, job done. Through goes Giardier, through goes Walsingham. Papin, I think, is possibly finding himself starting to drop back towards Naldi. The gap between them is pretty big and there's a fairly decent amount of the race done, so I doubt we're going to see those 2 close right up, but never say never. I think there was a quick flash of the lights there from Walsingham. Again, the timing board throwing a little bit of a wobbly. Again, saying that there was a close battle going on here, but not quite. Vinogradov chasing after the back of Matt York. Bit of a sideways moment there for the Nissan GTR. Looked fairly unsettled. Managed to hold it together, but it wasn't looking the most comfortable car in the world. Noel Jorge is into the pits as well now. The lead battle continuing on. Aiden versus Giardier. I mean, you really can't split these 2. Absolutely world-class act racers, the pair of them. And obviously racing for the same team as well, so the likelihood of them taking each other out should hopefully be pretty low. But I don't imagine there'll be any team orders in play this early in the season. They will still want them to go toe-to-toe and really show what they can do. And at the moment, it is a bit of a masterclass between these 2. Looking at the track map over on the right-hand side of the screen, I reckon the gap between car number 6 and 27 is starting to come down a little bit. It's still big. There's still 12 minutes left of the race, though. Right, Matt York, Vinogradov and Billen. It's 3. Still got 10 minutes of the race left to go. I think we could see a bit of a close-up between these drivers. Matt York seems to be struggling for pace a little bit at the minute. His last lap was a 1:54.6 in comparison to Vinogradov's 1:53.8. So quite a difference between these drivers. Billen as well, who's not hanging around. He is looking to try and make some improvements. He was a 1:53.2, so he was even quicker again. Might be a case, though, that if Billen... Oh, Kubaki. We've just seen him come through. Right. Here we go. Right, so... Lap number 39. This is between car number 79 and 966. And this is Kubaki with a 5-second penalty and a one licence point. Kubaki receives a penalty for causing an avoidable collision right after leaving the pits. So we missed that. But Kubaki would be very disappointed with that. Was running in 7th place, but that is going to cause him to drop down the order considerably. Oh, here we go. Billen looking to the inside. Can he do anything here? Yes, he can. He gets past Vinogradov. Vinogradov looking to get the exit, though. Looks to the outside. There was a big Mustang right in the way. He's going to have the outside here for the corner. What can he do? Can't do anything into Lesmo. I think for now, Billen has done enough to get ahead. He's now going to have to really stretch himself, see if he can push forward and catch up with the back of Matt York. Field all fairly spread out. So we've got Ranieri versus Gulliot at the moment. Car number 7 versus car number 79. Fairly similar lap times between these two. Only a couple of hundredths in it, sort of here and there. Under 9 minutes of the race left to go. Jardier has now started to pull away a little bit from Walsingham. 1.2 seconds between them. This one, though, this definitely seems to be heating up. Gulliot versus Ranieri. Gulliot looking to try and get himself inside the top 5. These drivers, though, not giving an inch. They're super, super close. There's absolutely nothing between them at the moment. We're going to go on the rear wing of Ranieri as they head now down towards the Ascari. So through Lesmos, these two were absolutely neck and neck. It's looking like the Aston does just about have the legs to do it in a straight line as well. Who is going to be bravest? Who is going to get the better run? Ranieri had a decent exit. I don't know if it's going to be enough to fully outrun. The gap is pretty much stretched to its limit, and now it starts to close down again. Who has the best line through the Parabolica? The Aston closing in, going for that wider line. Maybe looking to try and carry more speed. A longer way to go, but trying to gain as much exit speed as possible. The gap just being opened up, although now we're starting to see the Aston reel them back in again. Down towards the braking zone, the Aston is looking to the inside. Gonna have to be pretty brave stuff to try and go through. Doesn't quite do it, they're nearly side by side. I think this could be the lap where we see it happen, though. Gulliot giving absolutely no mercy to the back of that Mustang. That engine in the Aston must pretty much be running completely on American muscle. It's just breathing in exhaust fumes. I think after having 3 drivers inside the top 15, Sector Blitz Racing are probably going to be quite happy to see that that Buzov should take 7th place away from Kabaki after that 5-second penalty. He's very close behind it. 6 and a bit minutes left of the race to go. This is definitely our closest battle at the moment. Ranieri versus Gulliot. Black Aston versus the Black Mustang. And you've got a couple of other drivers stepping around the back of them as well. I mean, if these two trip over each other, that could be an absolute payday for Buzov in number 95. He'll be hoping, oh, kind of a 2-3-3 we saw with a yellow flag then. Kind of a 2-3-3. That rings a bell. That's Crows. What happened to Crows? Side by side. What happens here? Is this a self-inflicted or... Oh! Gets a bit of a shunt from number 4. Probably be a bit disappointed with that. That's Bazakas. And had to lose a lot of time waiting for a safe rejoin as well. Oh, there we go. We went to one replay and we missed the other two. So here we go. Right, this is down the pit straight. You can see already to the inside and out breaks Ranieri and does go through. Fair play. Obviously got a great run off the Parabolica and pushed through and managed to take the position. So now Gulliot will be pushing, trying to get to the end of the race, hold on to that 5th place position. So the battle there has settled down a fair bit. Right, Matt York now finds himself very much being chased by Bilan and Vinogradov. 4 minutes, 10 seconds of the race left to go. York holding on to 11th place at the moment with the pressure. Oh! No. Oh, okay. I think that possibly Matt York is having some connection issues. Because that was all over the place for a second then. Showing him in the pits, then not in the pits. All sorts of weirdness going on. So I would not want to be racing around him at that moment. I mean, his internet connection is showing is pretty good, but yeah, that was certainly some odd jumping around, and that certainly does make racing very difficult. So obviously nothing intentional going on there, but it is something the drivers have been warned about before, is connection issues. If they can't... Oh, a bit of a bump there from the 183. To be fair, Matt York went a bit deep into the first part of the chicane. And it meant he was very slow to take the second part. Realistically, Bilan didn't really have anywhere to go and did make contact with the back of the car. I don't think we'll probably see any kind of penalty put towards that. He now looks to the inside. Can't do anything at the second chicane. Maybe we're going to go for the exit run. Loads of curb taken by Bilan, and that's going to super slow his exit. Vinogradov now looking to try and take advantage. 2.5 minutes left of the race to go. This is the real squabble to keep an eye on, I think, for the minute. Matt York is going to be absolutely making that the widest Mustang he can possibly be. He'll be putting on his towing mirrors and everything, I think, just trying to give him a little bit of extra width. Definitely seeming like the battle to keep an eye on towards the end of this race. Lots of other drivers fairly well spread out. You can see at the back of the shop, DeLucia looking to try and maybe gain an advantage. He might be able to do something with this if they keep slowing themselves down. Obviously, if York, Bilan and Vinogradov keep squabbling as much as they are going to find themselves stacked up. And there is a Ferrari waiting to get through. Here we go. Billen looking to the outside. He had a really good run there. Vinogradov going to try and follow him all the way through. Who's going to be best on the brakes? It's Mustang versus Mustang. York versus Billen. They both go fairly deep. Vinogradov going to look to try and take advantage, and does! Huge run off the corner for Vinogradov. God, you'd think that Nissan GTR was four-wheel drive like it's a road-going brethren, but it is only rear-wheel drive. But the traction, that thing, the F1 memes GTR, the traction it had compared to Billen was absolutely insane then. And now he gets to have a go at the back of York. What can be done? DeLucia has caught right up with the back of this pack as well. So Billen will be very disappointed that he lost out that position, because it now means he's got a big run to go. I think our leaders are probably on to their final lap now. Giardier still leading the race as we speak. 2.5 between them. This is the one that I want to keep an eye on, though. This battle. It will be this and one more for these drivers. As the timer ticks down to 0. Don't think it's going to be checkers for these guys. I think they should get another one out of this. We're going to stick with this one, though, because it's pretty hot. All 4 cars stacked up after 90 minutes of intense racing in the rain with the pit stops as well. And we still find ourselves with cars absolutely nose to tail all the way to the line. I don't think this should be the checkers for them. It's not. They've got one more to go. Here we go. They head into their final lap of the race. Matt York, all the pressure lies on his shoulders. He knows he just needs to try and hold on to it for one more. This is where Vinogradov was incredibly strong, and if anything, it looks like that maybe York was a little bit slow off the corner again. I think maybe just always making sure that he outbrakes everyone into turn 1. Just means he goes a little bit deep for turn 2. That just unsettles the car a little bit. And that really does allow Vinogradov to close in and take advantage of that amazing pace the car has off the corners. Nothing quite into into chicane 2. Our actual leaders are about to come across the line there. I've got to cut to it. Giardier comes across the line, followed by Aidan Walsingham. And Remy Papin just coming around the corner as well. We're going to follow our top 3 across the line, and then we're going to go back to the mad battle that has been going on. Right, going back to this one, because this is going absolutely to the wire. This seems to be the real one to keep an eye on. We will obviously talk our way through the full grid when the race is over, but at the moment, Vinogradov has one more corner to make this work. Who can do it? Billen, and DeLucia also both in with a shout. They all just have to hold their nerve. Who can do it? Billen looks to the outside a little bit, not able to do it. Who's going to get the best exit here? Does it like Billen? Maybe he's carrying a little bit more mid-corner speed. I think they're all going to cross the line as they were. Vinogradov, you can see snatching at the gears, trying to keep that car under control. This might be super close though. Billen looks to the outside, but no, Vinogradov does just about hold on to that position. Jumping back down the order a little bit. Just jumping on board with Poggy. The AF Corsa car. We saw it have some lovely little battles earlier on. And then I think Kaz Lucas, the 747 for Roa Racing. Didn't all go his way this evening. But he does come across the line and thus completes all the cars across the line. Well, if you're anything like me, you absolutely loved that. Hopefully you're not all quite as broken-voiced as I am now. But right, let's hopefully get some interviews with our top 3 drivers, and I will also have a bit of a run through the grid order as they crossed the line. Let's do that now to the timetables for the race. Right, Pole position was Jardier. Second place was Walsingham. Third place was Remy Papin. Naldi in fourth. Gulliot in fifth. Ranieri sixth. Buzov in seventh. Waring in eighth. Ninth was Kubacki. Sandre in 10th. Matt York holds on to 11th place. Vinogradov 12th. Billen 13th. DeLucia 14th. Campo in 15th place. Continuing down the order, Dorber 16th place. Clifford 17th. Poggi in 18th, Lawrence in 19th, Fazakas 20th, Kaz Lucas 21st, 22nd is Kroos, Levchenko in 23rd, Auselin in 24th, Craig Law in 25th, and rounding out our finishing drivers 26th was Savage. It was a big old race for everyone, lots and lots going on there. There was an absolute monstrous amount of bits and pieces going on throughout that race. It went a bit Pete Tong from time to time. Right, I can see that our leaders are waiting to come in for a chinwag, so we're going to just quickly jump across. Turn off the music. We don't need to be quite as loud as that, and we definitely don't need that to be there either. There we go. Right, let's drag in. First of all, our leading driver, Mr. Jardier. Let's drag him in.
It's a good attack. Or like something just completely corrupted the files. Oh, sorry. Hello.
Oh, that's all right. No worries. I imagine you're having a quick chinwag with your viewers at that time.
Sorry. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, buddy. I mean, that was a pretty close race the whole way through. A couple of times we thought that maybe Aiden was going to take it away from you, and it did happen on the circuit for a little bit. And then the wild card that is Remy Papin as well for a little while was leading against you guys. Obviously, you both went for quite a similar pit stop. What was your strategy going into this one? Because it was mighty close.
Yeah. It was like, I'm gonna be honest. Like before, literally the last minute of the practice, I was 2/10, almost 3/10 behind Aiden. I just could not find the pace, and then I made a slight change of the setup for the quali, and it somehow just completely changed the car, and we suddenly got up the pace with him, which completely changed the whole evening for me, because otherwise I was looking for a very sad race. But yeah. Then in the race it was great. Like I knew that my strength of the Honda will be acceleration from the turn 2, so I was putting a lot of hope if we're gonna be fighting with Aiden, that if he's gonna put the pressure on me, that he's gonna be strong on the start finish line and the last sector, and I'm gonna be strong in the first sector. But yeah, luckily I didn't give him too many opportunities. Luckily it was a very, very good race for us. Very close though, very nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it was super close the whole way through. I mean, there was multiple times where I'd be looking at the timing board and I'd be like, oh, it's fine. They're like a second and a half apart. There's no issues. And then immediately it would be less than half a second and I'd be panicking that I'd missed something going on. It did look like your Honda was fairly strong through the Parabolica. Was that the case, or was it just managing to just grit it by the teeth and go on through?
Yeah, like Honda is like really good for like acceleration corners. Like it was like noticeable that Aiden was like really good on a top speed and braking into the first corner, but out of the second corner, the Honda just had that like grip in the rain, just pulling away really nicely. It's like very similar to like Porsche, like we like the Honda lack the top speed, but it has like really nice kick for acceleration. So that was like quite good to have on a fight.
Yeah, that's what you want. A nice bit of speed out of the corner so you know you can at least get your elbows out and try and defend it as best as possible. So this is obviously your best finish so far this season, and I think by coming home in pole position, definitely keeps the championship alive. It takes away the clean sweep from Aiden as well. Obviously, the team is obviously absolutely dominating the season at the moment. As you and Aiden for Veloce absolutely charging away with the team's championship. But have you got your eyes now on the prize? Are you starting to think to yourself, that you can take this one away from Aiden, dethrone him?
Oh man, I really hope so. Like now we got into his head, Now he knows what it takes, Now he knows it's over for him. So hopefully for the next race, he's gonna get more nervous, and it's gonna be worse and worse and worse.
That's what you want. That's what you want. Get inside the racer's head. try and take advantage. There's something so weird about speaking to like possibly the happiest man in sim racing, but hearing him sort of have masterminded evil plans. Sort of half imagine you with a white furry cat just spinning around in your chair at this time. We'll have to keep an eye on your other videos to make sure you're not slowly turning evil. But Johnny, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you again this evening. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. Any final words before we get Aidan in for the second place chat?
No, just keep up good work, and thank you so much, all the chat, for supporting today and pushing. And absolutely, Aiden, absolutely insane. Having him whole race right behind me, and it's hard. It's hard to keep the pace. It's hard to keep the pace.
Well said, Jardier, and we will speak to you possibly next week. Fingers crossed. If you're on pole, hopefully. Well, I'm trying to think, where are we next week? Hang on, where are we? I've lost me.
Last time you jinxed me after Silverstone, you said next week, and I haven't made it next week.
Oh, in that case, what I'm going to say is no. We won't speak to you ever again. Then that's fine. We'll undo the commentator's curse. We'll undo it. We'll try our best to undo it. But yeah, well, hopefully see you soon, Jardier.
Yo, cheers! Thank you.
Cheers. Right, now dragging in Aidan Walsingham. It looked like it was going to be your third pole position in a row, and then it just didn't quite come together. You were holding first position for a little while, and then Jardier just managed to snatch it back again. But are you still happy with your second place?
It's the best I could have done. I don't think I could have beaten the Honda today. It was, yeah. Obviously, Jard is really, really good in the wet. But also, we saw, like, no matter how close I got to him, I just couldn't even pull alongside him. So there was no move that I could have pulled off that would have actually concreted the position. So it's, yeah, pretty brutal P2, but best I could have done, realistically.
Well, you do sound like you're beating yourself up a little bit about it, but I would still say that a P2 in Tier 1 is still incredibly impressive. You're still leading the championship, so it's not all gone yet. But are you starting to be a little bit more nervous than you were after last week?
Nah, we don't have that many wet races, do we?
I don't think so. I can't remember now. I mean, you never know. You know what they're like. Behind the scenes, they're scheming with the rain, possibly. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a particularly wet race today, obviously. And Donington last time round as well. There you go. You define it, Donington, and that was moist.
Lightly moist in relativity. Nowhere near as wet as this one.
No, I mean it did feel it. Fairly horrendous. I mean, the only advantage, obviously, that you guys did have is that you weren't following a giant pack of cars straight away. We did jump on board some of the cars sort of mid-pack, and their visibility was pretty much their bumper plus maybe a few inches, and that was all they could see. I think that was why there was quite a few incidents over the first and second lap. Luckily, you managed to keep yourself fairly clean the entire race, didn't get bumped out of the way or anything. Same with Jardier as well, and obviously same with Remy Papin, who went for a much earlier pit stop than you and Jards. Were you confident that you could get back past him again after obviously you both emerged from the pits behind him?
Yeah, I knew his tyres weren't going to hold together. Like before the box, like we're all doing very similar pace. Like he was managing the gap to us, and when you chuck an extra 70 kilos of fuel in there, you can't do the same laps. And I know Jard and I were definitely taking tyres. So after the box, I think we were like 8-9 tenths a second a lap faster than him. So yeah. it was more a matter of time before we got around him. And he knew it wasn't. We weren't the ones he was fighting. Ultimately, he was fighting P4 really to hold off and hold P3. Any time lost fighting us just meant that he'd lose more time overall. It just wasn't worth it. Yes,
because we did see your pass on him into Lesmo 1, which for a little moment we almost, because it seemed like quite a last minute decision for you. Like you'd braked and then suddenly just jinked the car to the inside and went for it. And we sort of, like, from where we had viewed it, we didn't know whether Papin had maybe sort of got a bit scared and he thought there might be contact, or whether he actually had like fully just opened the door. But obviously, from what you're saying, sounds like he just opened the door and sort of let you through, which is quite nice. So rather than slowing you up, it meant that you could continue to try and squabble out with Jardier, which was good. It kept us very well entertained for nearly the entire race.
I mean, I'll ask him to use the indicators next time because I damn near rear-ended him when he braked early. So.
It was very close. There was a moment where it was, it was definitely. I jumped out my seat sort of by a couple of inches and sort of was like, ooh, and panicking about it. But no, you managed to hold it together. Come home in second place. You're still winning the championship. So come on, chin up, Aidan. You've still got this. You can still defend your championship.
Hopefully.
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 Right, speaking of Remy Papin, we're going to drag him in for a chat as well. Aidan, thank you ever so much for having a chinwag with us this evening. It's always really appreciated. Lovely to chat with you. Any final words before we jump over to Remy?
No, nothing else to say. Just thank you and looking forward to next week as always.
Awesome. All right, mate. We'll see you next week.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Remy, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Fantastic. That was a bit of a sort of an up and down race for you, it would seem. Started off really well, and obviously, then with your very early pit stop, you managed to, well, you held on to the back first of Jards and Walsingham for a very long time, which was absolutely fantastic. You were matching their pace and staying with them the entire time. And for a little while, whenever they squabbled, you'd close right up on them. Obviously, then went for quite an early pit stop. Did you go for tyres or not?
No, I didn't.
Right,
Like,
that's confirmed.
yeah, I ran out of fuel and I was still matching my PB, so I thought maybe I can not change tires and take the track position. And with the big engine of the Bentley, maybe I could resist for the rest of the race. But no, the pace difference was way too much, so I couldn't fight at the end.
Yeah, so it did seem like sort of towards the end, the pace did just drop off, and obviously then we saw where Aiden got past you at Lesmo 1. Was that for a little moment we didn't know if there was going to be an incident there because it seemed like such a last minute lunge by Aiden, but from what he was saying there, that the lunge was basically just trying to avoid hitting the back of you. Were you sort of essentially letting him through at that point? I just don't think that maybe he realised.
Yeah. I just tried to let him go without losing time for both of us, but maybe I broke a bit too early for him, so that's why it was really close.
Yeah, I don't think he quite realised how
Yeah.
how close to the back of you he was, and suddenly there was a bit of a brown pant moment. I think came from Aiden there. I'm just having a look at where you are. So this is your best finish so far this championship. You've had a 20th in round one, a 6th in round two, and then obviously this time round coming home in third place is a really decent finish. How are you looking forward to our next round? Are you sort of confident going into that you can continue this upward streak?
Not really. Like I think Bentley was really strong there because of the weather, but I'm not sure with the following. But yeah, I will try my best to keep up with those results.
Well, it's Zolder next time round. It's only 60 minutes as well, so we're back to the original sort of, pit strategy as normal. The Bentley round Zolder, I've never driven it round there. How does that car handle round that circuit?
So do I. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
So yeah, we'll discover.
But
We
the,
will
the
see.
main
We
thing will
will
be,
see.
how does it take the first chicane? How good is it at eating curbs? That'll be
Yeah,
the,
definitely. Yeah.
That'll be the main one. I think it's always the Zolder's always a bit of a battle, battle of survival. Really, you can be the fastest car out there, but if you can't survive the curbs and undulations for sort of 60 minutes, you can very easily find yourself tumbling down the order. Um, I would say, like, with obviously not going for the tires, was that something you'd always planned, or was that an on-the-fly decision?
No, it was really on the fly. Like I saw on the first stint, I was like 1 or 2 tenths slower. So I really need something else to try to get the win today. So I tried this, but yeah, it didn't work. At the end, it's still P3, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, I think P3, especially I'd say in Apex Online Racing Tier 1, it's, it's still a real accolade to come away with a podium finish. I mean, like, there's some big drivers that you see drop way down the order. So to take away third place in a very challenging and long race at Monza, I think that's a definitely one to take away, and some good confidence going into next week, I think, hopefully. But
Yeah,
any final words before we call it a night, as my voice is completely trashed
yeah.
now?
Yeah, shout out my J League team and especially Ristis today with his BMW. Like he had the great pace, but was really unfortunate. But yeah, we're gonna try to keep working together and yeah, see you in the next round.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us, Remy. Always
Yeah,
appreciated.
thank you.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Right, so that is it for round 3 of Apex Online Racing Sprint Cup Series Season 17. All the S's. I am back again tomorrow night for Tier 2. Same time, same place. Might be slightly different weather, who knows, but I think it's pretty much going to be a wet race tomorrow as well. So if you thought Tier 1 was good, wait till you bundle into Tier 2. Lots of rising stars going for it, and a couple of slightly fallen heroes as well, like ex-Tier 1 drivers that have made their way down to Tier 2, looking to prove themselves and get themselves back up towards the front of it. I have been Tim360Learn, and again, I completely forgot at the beginning of this to shout out to all of our Patreon subscribers who are the only means of support that Apex uses now. Apex Online Racing is all brought to you by the Patreon. So if you fancy, investing a little bit, jump into the link. It is in the bio beneath this stream and the video on demand. Or if you don't fancy spending any money but just fancy getting involved, absolutely fine as well. There is no issue with that. Jump into the Discord where you can get involved in all of the racing, and also head to apexonline.racing to get involved in the physical racing itself. We have lots of different leagues, not just on PC. I think there's also PlayStation and Xbox. So a little bit for everyone. Do get involved, and thank you for joining me. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys.